You are out of the tunnel that has been COVID for the past at least year. And if you're not out of the tunnel, at least you can see the light at it. I'm thinking about if you're in Toronto or London or some of the places where it's almost there. You're almost there. So if you're out of the tunnel already, how has it been for you? Are you celebrating? Are you planning? Have you already taken trips? Maybe you've had a birthday party. Maybe you've gone to that wedding that was rescheduled from last year. And I hope that's the case for you and that it has been more amazing than you even anticipated. What I want to talk with you about today is if it's not been all that you envisioned, if it's not been as smooth as you had hoped for, I want to talk with you about why that likely is. It makes you very human, very normal if you're having that experience. And also, if it hasn't been as easy as you had expected, what you can do to have that be different. So I mentioned, I hope that you have been hugging again. Have you been with your people? Have you been back with coworkers that you really like? Have you been doing some of the things that you've been putting off for a year? The things that you really were looking forward to? If you have, if your routine has changed, if you're back, maybe you're commuting to work, maybe you're back being around people, a lot more people than you've been around the past year. And even if you live in your house where you're with kids, you're with other people, maybe you have roommates, now you're around a lot more people, are you? Just being out and about in the world. And that's got to have been an adjustment for you. So I've been hearing from some people that along with the vacations, the finally being able to start to work on a goal, a physical activity, maybe getting back in shape, maybe looking at going out to restaurants, eating healthy to let go of some of that COVID-19 weight that some of us put on. I've been hearing some people saying too, I've noticed that I've been feeling a little bit stressed out. I've been feeling a little bit irritable. I've been out with people that I have missed. I couldn't wait to get together with. And Dr. Lee, I am noticing that I'm feeling a little bit annoyed by them. So that when I get back home after a busy day or week, that I felt kind of wiped. So I want to reassure you that that's completely normal. And I want you to take a moment back to a little bit more than a year ago. We won't stay there for long, I promise. It was long enough. But I want you to go back and think about what it was like for you when things first shut down for us and we started to learn that it wasn't going to be so temporary as we had hoped, that we might be in this for a while, for some weeks, or probably a matter of months. Do you remember when you first started to notice feeling restless, when you first felt bored, or maybe you first started to feel nervous? And I'm not sure what specifically was going on for you in terms of a shift in your work schedule, how you spent your time, whether that was that you weren't taking kids to activities, or maybe it was that, gosh, I got to figure out a whole new way of managing a decreased workload where now I'm called upon to do it from home. Do you remember you were adjusting and your body and your mind were doing an amazing job at it, but you felt it wasn't all completely comfortable, was it? It wasn't natural for us to be, as people out and about in the world looking to make things happen, to being called because of something outside of us to sort of retreat and get smaller and get quieter and cocoon and hibernate and have that be, that's being successful right now. To do less, get still, we're not talking about the kind of presence and stillness that's a really good thing to have. We're talking about more quiet than we've been in maybe a long time. Do you remember how that felt? So think about now. Now let's come back. Let's get out of there. Let's hope it never happens again. If it does, we'll be prepared because we learned a lot. But let's come back to now, the present moment. And think about now what you're asking of your mind and your body in terms of adjusting to a pre-pandemic level that maybe you had been used to for many, many years, for decades. Yet now you're still being asked to adjust. And because your mind and your body adjusted so well a year ago, they had both come to understand and respond really well in that new vibe of that temporary new normal. So we wouldn't expect ourselves to now, as we're asking ourselves to go out and about doing amazing new things. And I hope that you really have learned the lessons of the pandemic and that you're out there doing the things that you dreamt about. Maybe to have it be even better than before the pandemic for you. I wouldn't expect you to be feeling completely like it was a smooth ride as you had your re-entry into the post-COVID world. I would expect that as you went out and saw more people and asked more of yourself physically and cognitively, that you feel a little bit of a pushback because your mind and your body adjusted so well this past year for you to be able to feel okay with that hibernating mode, that as you ask more of it, it's going to push back a little bit. And how would that show up? That would show up in being exhausted when you go back to sort of a typical week for yourself. Irritable as you went and hung out, even with the people that you love and that you've missed. It's just too much for your mind and body. Give them a little bit of time to catch up to that new post-COVID normal vibe and rhythm and pace that you're going to be having for yourself. If you noticed that I had that experience, almost thought about it as if you've ever had the flu or you've been out sick for a couple weeks and you went back that first day and you crushed it, but then you got home that night and you were absolutely exhausted. You might have even been irritable. You might have even said, oh my gosh, I loved it. I had all this energy during the day, but then when I came home, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that tomorrow. If you had a version of that right now, I want you to think that that's probably your body and mind saying, whoa, you asked a lot of me here. I need you to go a little bit slower tomorrow. I didn't realize how much that was going to take for me to do that. And yeah, you crushed it today, but listen, I'm letting you know right now, I kind of need you to look at your commitments tomorrow or for the next week or for the next month, and I need you to take care of me and adjust accordingly. And I'm not talking about slacking. I'm not talking about going back to hibernation mode, no, but I'm talking about meeting yourself where you are right now. So that if you're feeling some of those things that I just described, that you accept that and that you forgive yourself, that you're really kind to yourself, and that you understand there's nothing wrong. It's just that your body and your mind are letting you know that, hey, wow, we're doing a really good job because we are genius at helping you adapt. Yet we need you to meet us where we are right now. In a way that I would say, think about if you've ever think about any task that you asked when you were asking yourself to do something really big. I'm going to use a long distance runner or a marathoner as an example. Let's say that they were laid up with an injury for a year or so, and then they went out that first week and they said, wow, I ran 15 miles, and they were laid up for a week after that and they just couldn't do it. Are you asking yourself right now, hey, why can't I do this? I used to be able to do this. Or are you being loving enough and wise enough to say, of course I feel this way after running 15 miles. I went in way too fast. Way too fast. I thought I could do it. I did everything I needed to do. So apply this to something going on in your life right now if it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride. Did you do the things like prepare for it and make sure that you stretched, that you ate properly, that you drank water, that you paid attention to what was going on for you along the way? And apply that to the situation you have in your life, whether that's a work schedule or the recreational or social activities you've planned. Are you checking in on a daily basis to say, wow, pretty good day, but I think it was a bit much. Let me take a look at how I can meet myself where I am, to have this re-entry into the world be everything that I wanted it to be. So take a look at how you're approaching your post-pandemic world. I had the image when I decided to do this video, and I also wrote in more detail on my blog. You can find it at leotaskalki.com. Check it out. That I was imagining the astronauts when they do the re-entry, and they're not completely sure how it's going to go, but they anticipate that it's going to be a bumpy ride, and they do everything they can to plan for it and prepare. Yet what do they do in the middle? I mean, think about Apollo 13. If you haven't seen that movie, please watch that movie after you see this. There were things that they weren't prepared for because we didn't know they were going to happen. They were the curveballs. So if you've got some curveballs right now in your life, I want you to think about that and manage them, adjust, react to them really powerfully. That as you say, okay, look, so this is my tip. This is really easy for you to do. If you're noticing any of these things I described, think about checking in with yourself, saying, how did this day go? What am I feeling? What am I noticing about my feelings and my physical being? Check in and ask yourself, what am I feeling and what do I need? What do I want to keep for tomorrow and next week because I'm crushing it? What are the things that don't feel so great? What can I do to plan for tomorrow to be kinder to myself, to be accepting of what's going on for me? So my wish for you as you embrace your re-entry into the world, and I'm so happy for all of us. Congratulations, we made it. But let's continue to have it be all the amazing with none of the stress. And the way that you can do that is think in these terms. You know, my motto is do what works for you. What I want you to do is think about adjusting how you're planning your days. And I want you to adjust. And if you need to cut back a little bit, I want you to do it with no apologies, with no doubt. There's nothing wrong with you. There's everything right with you if you are meeting yourself where you are right now. Whether that's saying no to other people, no to yourself. If you committed to doing that, to doing what works for you, then that's going to be you living your life powerfully, right? It's your life. I want you to live it masterfully. Take care.